Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. I trust we're all back for the Executive Committee meeting. The time is 10 a.m. and I call to order the January 26, 2022 Executive Committee meeting of the Contractors State License Board. I am Susan Granzella, Board Chair and Executive Committee Chair. Please note that only board members who are members of the Standing Committee may participate in this committee meeting. Other board members who are in attendance may observe but cannot ask questions or participate in the discussion. Committee members, to mitigate any potential bandwidth issues, we ask that you turn off your video camera. When you would like to comment at any time during the meeting, please select the raise your hand icon in the WebEx application. I will call on committee members to speak. When called upon, please unmute yourself, and when finished, return to mute. You will also need to click on the raise your hand. I would like to welcome Mariah Rivera, Staff Services Analyst, who joined CSLB a few weeks ago. She has been taking role earlier in the morning, but I wanted to welcome you to CSLB. We look forward to working with you in the future. So with that, Mariah, please call the roll and confirm.
Thank you, Susan. Susan Granzella.
Here.
Mary Teichert. Mary Teichert.
Here.
Diana Love.
Here.
David De La Torre.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now go on to agenda item B, public comment for items not on the agenda and future agenda item requests. It's our next is our public comment section. This item is provided for public comment pertaining to items not on the agenda. To allow this committee enough time to conduct its full schedule of business, I will be limiting public comments to 3 minutes apiece. Please note that state law prohibits committee members from discussing any matter brought up during public comment. We are also not allowed to act on any item not on the agenda. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you can ask us to consider placing that issue on the agenda for a future meeting. If you have an application, complaint, or disciplinary charges pending before the board, we ask that you not discuss the details of your case or pending complaint. Committee members are not permitted to receive evidence or information that is not part of the administrative record of the case. If your comments are related to a specific agenda item, you can make your comments now, but you may want to wait until that item comes up for discussion. We will ask for public comment before acting on any item. Shelley Jones is again our host and moderator today. She will be assisting us by monitoring the public teleconference line. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the committee or to offer an agenda item for the future meeting?
This is the moderator. And just as a reminder to our attendees, you can utilize the chat, the Q&A, or the hand raise feature to request public comment. We do have one comment from JP Tenor. JP, I'm going to send you a request to unmute. Oh, my apologies. It looks like he may have dropped off. He did indicate he was having some audio issues. Oh, stand by. JP, I've sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, one of the things that I noticed that you guys might be made aware of, I noticed that you guys mostly focus on residential, and you seem not to care so much on low voltage contracting. I've noticed I do a lot of work for chain stores, and I notice a lot of work on that C7 mostly, but there's some C10. For full electrical on the gig economy, such as Field Nation and Work Market. You guys have indicated before that their referral services and stuff, but they charge a direct cut off the top. I'd like to put it on a future committee meeting, and I tried to reach out to Mr. Cruz to speak about it, but I could not reach him. So maybe if you can provide his telephone number, and I have quite a great deal of information. You know, it affects mostly chains and apartment complexes and stuff that's considered, you know, commercial type stuff, but always multi-location. And you guys seem to don't care too much about it. So I'd like to bring that up a little bit.
Thank you. Registrar.
This is Dave Fote. If you could put your contact information in the chat room, Jesse Flores, our Deputy Chief of Enforcement, will contact you, get more information, and see if we can't put an enforcement plan together. So thank you for sharing your comments.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll put my contact there.
Thank you. Do any committee members have an item they would like to place on a future meeting agenda? Hearing none, we will move on. Next is agenda item C, recognition. Today, I wanted to take a moment and recognize Chief of Licensing Justin Paddock for his past 3 years of service and leadership here at the board. Justin is here with us today, but this will be his last meeting as he was recently appointed by Governor Newsom as Bureau Chief, Household Goods and Services. We all recognize that Justin has done a great job as the licensing chief. He was instrumental in many complex project resolutions, such as updating the C-49 contractor requirements, implementing the new residential remodeling contractor classification, and working with IT to get many licensing transactions online during the pandemic. In addition to handling all his regular licensing duties, he always finds time to help others. One such example, it was while Tanya was out on special assignment, he assisted other division chiefs with administrative matters and preparing for board meetings. Not a small task. He also volunteered to take the lead on establishing the Cslb COVID testing program and mandatory reporting required of the board, and that was not on his job description, I'm sure. And so while he has definitely moved on to a new and responsible position, it's my pleasure to honor his hard work and dedication to CSLB. Thank you so much, Justin. It has been a pleasure to work with you. Would any committee members like to comment at this time?
Chair, David Del Torre. I, you know, as my term as chair, Justin has been very instrumental in answering questions that I could not. So I do want to thank him and congratulate him. Best of luck on your new endeavors, Justin.
Are there any other comments from our board members, committee members, excuse me?
Good morning, this is Diana Love. I just want to again congratulate Justin on his new adventure and say thank you for all the assistance that you have given to me in answering questions and returning phone calls promptly and just being there for my needs. And you will truly be missed, but I know that at times we have to move on into new adventures. So again, congratulations.
This is Mary Teichert. I would love to add my congratulations and appreciation to Justin for all the work he's done here. And also note that he was really instrumental and went way above and beyond with this series for women who are interested in becoming licensed contractors that we did last year. So really spent a lot of time both answering individual people's questions and trying to make it as easy as possible for women in underserved communities to become licensed contractors. So really appreciated all the extra effort and thoughtful help that went into that. So we'll definitely miss you, but congratulations.
So first I'll ask, is there any public comment?
I'm not seeing any requests at this time.
All right, thank you. And Justin, I'd like to put you on the spot. Is there anything you'd like to add to say for today? I know you're on the line.
Yeah, CSLB is an amazing group of people. It's been a sheer pleasure to work for this board. It's been incredibly rewarding, and I will miss this board and I will miss the staff very deeply. And I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you, Justin. Wish you the best of luck. So before we move on to the next agenda item, we learned this week that Chief Deputy Registrar Tanya Corcoran has accepted the position of Compliance Officer with the DCA Executive Team, effective March 2nd. So that is our news for the week on also, and we will recognize Tanya for her contributions at the March 30th meeting, board meeting. All right, so there's some news. Next, we are moving on to item D, Board Member Administrative Procedure Manual. The review, this is the review of the Board Member Administrative Procedure Manual, which was last revised by the board in November 2020. You can find the manual on page 31 of your packet. The proposed edits are intended to provide clarity on current board policy and to make other grammatical corrections. Edits are noted using underline and strikeout. All of the new text is underlined and deleted text is shown. That would be page 31. And here we go. I wanted to briefly discuss a few of the changes. Throughout the document, the reference to he or she has been replaced by gender-neutral language. Also, reference policies, memorandums, website addresses, and statutory references have been reviewed and updated. The final proposed change I wanted to bring to the committee's attention is on page 48 and is specific to salary per diem for board members. This section has been updated to clarify what will be paid for, which is attendance at official board and committee meetings and DCA training. There is a section now that clarifies what may be paid for, which is substantial service performed by a board member that takes up more than an hour on a specific day to attend official gatherings, events, hearings, and conferences or meetings. It further clarifies that the board chair will perform the final approval of all salary per diem or travel-related expenses for the board members. Committee members, do you have any comments or suggestions on this matter?
Chair Granzella, yeah, it's a little bit more specific as far as identifying what will be considered
Right.
reimbursable, or as far as the 1 hour, anything involving more than 1 hour. So I think it's I support.
Oh, good, thank you. It did need clarification as we move forward, especially in these business times. So we were very glad for that. Seeing no comments from committee members, Shelley, is there any public comment on this matter?
We have one comment from Richard Markison. It was on the prior item, though. Just wanted to congratulate Justin for his help over the years. Other than that, no other comments.
Thank you. May I ask for a motion? Do I have a motion to approve the 2022 Board Member Administrative Procedure Manual?
So moved.
Dave, thank you.
Second.
And Diana Love on a second. Thank you. Is there any further comment from committee members? And Shelley, is there any public comment? Mariah, please call roll.
No comments at this time.
Very good. Oh, thank you.
Susan Granzella,
Yes.
Mary Teichert,
Yes.
Diana Love,
Yes.
David De La Torre.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are now on agenda item E, which is the establishment of the Executive Administrative and Information Technology Strategic Plan Objective Target Dates. The full draft of the 2022-2024 Strategic Plan begins on page 108. The executive objectives, which we are reviewing at this time, are on page 125 of your packet. So we will start with item 5.1, reporting to the board on IT security to protect secure CSLB sensitive data. The proposed target date is ongoing. I am pleased to report that board member Frank Altamura will continue to work with me on a two-person advisory committee we started in the past. In fact, I'm equally pleased to announce that Frank has agreed to take the lead on the committee and will be working with IT Chief Jason Perez. I recommend that the first action taken is for the IT Advisory Committee to meet with IT Chief Jason Perez to identify what we can publicly discuss and the best format and frequency for presenting this information to the board. Are there any comments from the committee members on Objective 5.1? All right, moving on. Item 5.2, research and develop tools in addition to existing manual surveys that will provide the board and staff with feedback on the public's perception of staff performance and customer service. The proposed target date is ongoing because the surveys are currently in use. I'd like for staff to develop a plan for additional surveys to tell us how we are doing and report back to the executive committee in July of 2022. The surveys should be readily accessible and data routinely reviewed. Are there any comments from the committee members on Objective 5.2? All right, moving on to Objective 5.3, replace the automated phone system to ensure callers can speak to a representative in a timely fashion. The proposed target date is March of 2023. I recommend that an internal work group comprised of licensing, public affairs, and IT staff be established. Licensing can review statistics, staffing, and work with IT to identify key functionality for a new system. Public affairs can take the lead on developing recommendations for improving the existing phone tree and updating content for the CSLB website, and IT can research automated phone systems. Are there any comments from committee members on Objective 5.3?
Yeah, Chair Granzella, David De La Torre. Yeah, we can't lose touch of that human touch. You know, I know there's a lot of frustration around automation and people want to just deal with a live person. So, keeping in mind that, the staff can handle the voluminous amount of phone calls. So just want to add that. Thank you.
I agree. And that will definitely be an important objective.
Chair Granzella, this is Diana Love.
Yes.
Are we looking at in replacing the automated system with different types of a system? For example, when you call various organizations, if you're in line, you can be called back. Are we looking at those types of things?
Well, I believe they are looking at, Dave, if you'd like to help on this, but I do think that they are looking and doing the formal requirements of any new system, taking into account the technology that's available that might aid the callers. So I believe that's part of this strategic objective. Dave, did you have anything to add on this?
Actually, I'd like to ask Jason Perez to comment on that. I know that he's been doing a lot of research. So Jason?
Hello, good morning. So yes, we have been looking at the requirements and still working on requirements gathering for the business and also to the technical requirements. So while we're still looking at that, we are looking at some of the additional features that are part of the new automated phone systems. And this is definitely one of those that will be put on as a business requirement. However, we're still looking at some of the automated systems.
Are we going to have a committee of sorts that will be looking at that along with IT, or who are the actual people involved in that?
So we're, as board chair announced, that we will be looking at through our workshop group that has been developed through licensing, public affairs, and the IT staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Any further comments? All right. Thank you very much for your input on that. Moving to item 5.4, improve staff recruitment, onboarding, and training, team building for staff development. The proposed target date is July 2022. I'd like for the administrative staff to develop a plan and report back to the executive committee in July of 2022. Are there any comments from committee members on this? All right. Our last objective is item 5.5. Evaluate applicant and licensee online logins or profiles to help tailor the content to the user, track submissions and interactions, etc. And the target date is December 2022 to procure the product, software product that would help automate this. And in December 2023, full implementation. I'd like the IT staff to discuss the different platforms research and associated costs at the next IT advisory committee meeting. Do we have any comments from committee members on objective 5.5? All right. So committee members, do you have any final comments or suggestions on our strategic plan? Shelley, is there any public comment?
We do have one comment from JP Tenor. JP, I've sent a request to unmute your microphone.
That was actually on the last topic on the phone system.
All right. But
so no public comment on anything else.
So if you have a further comment on the phone system, if you could leave your information, we'll be happy to get back to you to collect those comments, or you can certainly share those with us now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I left it up above. So you have it.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Thank you very much for your input. So do I have a meeting to approve the executive, administrative, and information technology strategic plan objectives and target dates? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Diana, and do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. And are there any further comments from committee members at this time? And Shelley, is there any public comment?
There is not.
All right. Mariah, please call the roll.
Susan Granzella,
Yes.
Mary Teichert,
Yes.
Diana Love,
Yes.
David De La Torre.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mariah. That completes the executive committee's business for today. After we adjourn this meeting, we'll have a short break to transition the licensing committee meeting, which will be led by Chair Miguel Galarza. So the question right now is how long will it take you, Shelley, to switch the panelists for the next meeting?
Just a couple of minutes.
Okay, good. So our meeting is complete for today, and we will await your or Miguel starting the next meeting. Thank you.
All right, Miss Shelley, are we good to go?
We are ready.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. The time is now 10:27. Good morning, all committee members. I call to order this January 26, 2022, the Licensing Committee meeting, the California State Contractors License Board. My name is Miguel Galarza, and I am the chair of said committee. Board member Don Girantano has an approved absence. Please note that only board members who are members of the standing committee may participate in this committee meeting. Other board members who are in attendance may observe, but cannot ask questions or participate in the discussion. For any members, to mitigate any potential bandwidth issues, we ask that you turn off your video cameras when you'd like to comment, and in time during the meeting, please select the raise hand icon in the WebEx application. I will call on committee members to speak. When called upon, please unmute yourself, and then when you're finished, please return to mute. You'll also need to click on your raise hand icon to lower your hand after you've spoken. It's now time for roll call. Mariah, welcome to the committee. And please, if you'd be so kind, call roll call to quorum. We have a quorum.
Miguel Galarza,
Present.
Frank Altamura.
Here.
Steve Panelli,
Here.
Jim Ruane,
Here.
Johnny Simpson,
Here.
Mary Teichert.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mariah. The next agenda item, item B on our public comment section. This item is provided for public comment pertaining to items not on the agenda. To allow this committee enough time to conduct its fully scheduled business, I will be limiting public comment to 3 minutes apiece. Please note that state law prohibits committee members from discussing any matter brought up during public comment. We are also not allowed to act on any item not on the agenda. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you can ask for it to be considered to be placed as an issue on an agenda for future meetings. If you have any applications, complaints, or disciplinary charges pending before the board, we ask that you do not discuss the details of your case or pending complaint. Committee members are not permitted to receive evidence for information that is not part of the administrative record in the case. If your comments are related to a specific agenda item, you can make your comments now, but if you may, wait until that item comes up for discussion. We will ask for public comment before acting on any item. Shelley Jones is our host and moderator today, and she will be assisting us, and specifically me, by moderating public comment. Are there any comments? Do any committee members?
I'm not seeing any comments at this time.
Thank you so much, Shelley. Do any committee members have anything they'd like to place on a meeting agenda? Seeing and hearing none. Shelley, please check to see if there are any members of the public who'd wish to address the committee or to offer an agenda item for a future meeting.
We do have one request from Latanya Hawkins. Latanya, I've sent a request to unmute your microphone. As a reminder, you will have 3 minutes.
you so much, and I apologize if this is not the correct time, but I would definitely have some suggestions and feedback for yourself as the chair and board in regards to community engagement. So I'm not sure if this is the correct time.
All right. If it's regarding the specific action item on our agenda, it may make sense for you to wait until that action item, and then I will certainly be offering for public comment after that specific item has been read.
Okay, I will wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Not seeing any other requests.
Thank you so much, Shelley. We're going to go and move on to agenda item C, which is the establishment of the licensing testing strategy plan and objectives and target dates. The full draft of the 2022 through 2024 strategic plan begins on page 109. The licensing and testing objectives, which are reviewing and discussing today, are on page 121 of your packet. You will see that most of the objectives have blue underlined and stricken out words. Staff has polished the language presented at the November 29th board meeting, so it is clear to individuals that may not be familiar with CSLB, there was no intent to change the meaning of the objectives. As we discuss each item, please feel free to comment if you have any concerns or recommended edits to the language. We'll start with item 1.1, access barriers to licensure for women and minorities, and create an outreach plan to community colleges, construction management programs, labor unions, and workforce and development groups to increase license diversity and to create a better understanding of applicants and licensees. Considering this objective, we started with a recent Women in Construction workshop conducted under the leadership of board member Jim Ruane and facilitated by my board member Mary Teichert, and the proposed target date is ongoing. Recommend that the first action taken is that the licensing division staff prepare a brief report for the summer of 2022 board meeting on the following items. Item 1, CSLB's activity to date on this issue. Item 2, a summary of any recent reports on barriers to licensure and on the construction industry or licensing in general, and a draft outreach plan for the fall and winter of 2022 involving participation with industrial groups and speaking at community colleges, construction management programs, labor unions, workforce development groups. Lastly, to that point, I would like the board to consider CSLB participate in an upcoming event in Richmond, California on April 5th, known as the Small Business Construction Expo. This event will be co-sponsored by Agency of California in collaboration with various public works agencies. I believe this would be an outstanding opportunity to reach the exact group of individuals we're looking to outreach to. The event was last held in 2019 and was attended by 600 entrepreneurs and small business owners, some that were licensed and some that were not. So I think that would be an excellent opportunity. Are there any comments from the committee members on objectives 1.1? Seeing and hearing none, I'd like to move on to item 1.2. Study and appraise opportunities to waive examination requirements for out-of-state contractors to reduce barriers to licensure. The proposed target date is June 2023. I would like for staff to summarize other states' approaches on this matter and to present findings to the board in the winter of 2022. Do I have any comments from committee members on objective 1.2? Hearing and seeing none, I'll move on to item 1.3. continued automation and streamlining of all online application, licensing, and examination procedures to improve process efficiency. The proposed target date is December of 2024. I recommend that an internal work group comprising of licensed and IT staff be established, and that they provide summer and winter updates to the board on procurement and programming of the application system. Any comments from committee members on objective 1.3? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item 1.4. Assess and report on how to incorporate new and emerging technologies into licensure process to ensure licensees continue to represent reliability and contracting excellence. The proposed target date is ongoing. However, I'd like licensing to provide an annual report to the board each summer. Any comments from committee members on objective 1.4? Hearing and seeing none.
Chair Galarza?
Yes.
I do see that member Altamura has his hand up.
Please.
Yes, thank you. My comment was back for item 1.2. I know the language changes are meant to be minor and that the topic itself is fairly broad, but it looks like in the crossed out section, it's focusing on whether or not we are waiving exams, whereas the new language maybe points to the requirements to take those exams. So I think there's a little bit of a distinction there, but considering that it's overall to study and appraise these opportunities in general, it may not be too significant.
Thank you, Frank. Would staff make sure and take a note of that recommendation from Frank?
Yes. Frank, would you have less concern if we were moved out of state?
Go ahead, Frank.
Instead of editing on the fly, if you don't mind, Frank, do you mind if I just give you a ring?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think it's
Because I certainly don't want to change the intent.
Yep, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Any other comments, Shelley? Seeing and hearing none. The next item is item 1.5. In partnership with Public Affairs, streamline and eliminate jargon in the Cslb licensing web page. Handouts, publications, and forms to reduce user confusion and elevate processing times. The target date for this is December 2022 and is ongoing. I'd like the licensing and public affairs staff to review all licensing and application web pages, content, and update web pages in order of importance. Any comments from the committee members on objective 1.5? Hearing and seeing none. Our last objective is item 1.6, and that is to complete the exam administration outsource transition and access remote testing options. The target date is October 2022. This process is already underway, and I would like IT and licensing staff to provide us an update, a progress update on this work at each board meeting in 2022. Are there any comments on objective 1.6? Hearing none. I believe that wraps up our objectives. I'd like to seek comments on licensing and testing items.
Miguel, if I may be so bold, would you mind, before considering your vote, just asking that staff work directly with Frank to just update item 1.2, and then we'll report to the full board once it's ready.
Thank you so much, Justin. And by the way, Justin, I did not have an opportunity to say thank you for your patience in guiding me, protecting me, nurturing me, and making sure I was fully briefed on my participation on this board. And with that, for that, I thank you tremendously.
I very much appreciate working with you, Miguel. Thank you.
I'd like to now ask for a motion. Do we have a motion to approve? Would it be appropriate to ask for public comment, Shelley?
Chair Galarza, let's make the motion first, then we can call for public comment.
Very fair enough. Do we have a motion to approve the licensing and testing strategic plan and objectives and target dates?
Jim Ruane, motion to approve.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have a second?
Steve Panelli, second.
And who was that? I apologize.
Steve Panelli, second.
Thank you, Steve. I'd now like to ask for public comment, or do we have any comments from our committee members first? Hearing and seeing none, I believe we had somebody in the queue for public comment. Hopefully they're still there.
We do. Latanya Hawkins, I've sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to everyone, you, Miguel, as a chair, and other board members for actually having this platform for us to be able to speak. It's encouraging to see all the efforts to increase community engagement, and so my comments are in regards to that. I am here representing Construction Resource Center. We are a nonprofit agency committed to assisting contractors and also tradespersons to not only grow their business, but namely acquire their state license, build their back office, and close that access gap. And so given the state board efforts to increase community engagement, I did have several suggestions, if possible, for you to entertain as a group for the California State License Board to possibly provide representatives via Zoom or in person when safe to speak directly to contractors in regards to state licensing board's questions. CRC, we sponsor outreach events, namely one that's coming up on March 10th in partnership with the Minority Business Consortium. And we also conduct two annual 10-week project management courses that has been waitlisted, which has had favorable response, but to have a representative from the state licensing board that they could speak to directly and answer questions based on their circumstances would be absolutely fabulous to increase community engagement. Also, another suggestion is maybe an online platform, maybe quarterly basis, brown bag with the board or brown bag with the state board would be nice, where our clients for CRC could actually log on and pose questions based on their individual circumstances regarding exams and licensing questions. And there's a link maybe from the California State License Board to such events that we have on an ongoing basis. We'll also would like to have California State License Board to advocate resources that we have. We have our 4-volume series of our standard operating procedures with ultimate construction guides. We have our e-learning modules, we have our classes, and by this partnership and by actually having a partnership with a designated representative that would help us in the community, we feel that this would provide a local personalized platform on an ongoing basis for the underrepresented, and also will help to increase minority participation in the industry. And this would namely address the issues that were mentioned ahead of time, or prior, in regards to addressing barriers and also providing added resources. And so I want to thank you for your time and thank you for the consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Justin, did you have a thought?
Ms. Hawkins, if it's possible, if you could communicate your contact information to Shelley Jones, she's our host today. I'd like to just touch base with you after. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Paddock.
Thank you. Shelley, any other public comment?
No other requests at this time. And Ms. Hawkins, if you can leave that in the chat and direct that to myself, that would be great. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mariah, please, roll call.
Miguel Galarza,
Present.
Frank Altamura,
Yes.
Steve Panelli,
Yes.
Jim Ruane,
Aye.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Mary Teichert.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mariah. After we adjourn the licensing committee meeting, we will have a short break to transition to the legislative committee meeting, which will be held by the legislative chair, board member Jim Ruane. I would like to have a motion to adjourn the licensing committee.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. No roll call is needed. We are
Who was the
adjourned.
second by? Sorry, Chair Galarza.
Jim Ruane.
First was, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We are adjourned.